Now I want you guys to picture a scenario where Roger Goodell says every team's best defensive player must switch conferences just to spice things up a little bit. That's what we're gonna do in this video. I have all 16 AFC teams on this wheel and we're gonna go one by one with each NFC team to see who's gonna swap elite defensive talent, starting with the Chicago Bears. Tremaine Edmunds, who they just acquired in the offseason, he's headed back to the AFC to play for Tennessee. And now Kevin Byard's gonna go to Chicago and man down the secondary for the Bears. Before we go any further, I got a couple super chats. Ryder Hosk says, love you, my brother. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I'll do my best, man. Braden Mitchell says, a team of highest paid players at each position. Now, that's actually one I've done in the past quite a few years ago. You know, I did that back in Madden 19. I'll link that in the description. I did the Big Bang Draft. If you're a fan of Draft Champions, you want to see something like that, I'll link that as well. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. We also have a brand new member of the Bird's Nest Element becoming a member at level 2. I appreciate you guys' support so much. You invest in me, I'm investing back in the channel. I've been looking to buy older Maddens, so when I do the every Madden videos, you know, I can actually mean every Madden. So yeah, I greatly appreciate all the support. Back to the video. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Lavonte David is gonna be in a different uniform. He's headed to Pittsburgh. And now the Buccaneers get the DPOY TJ Watt. So TJ Watt's new quarterback is Baker. And we're going from one Baker to another. Buddha is currently on the Cardinals, but not for long. He's headed to New England. And Matthew Judon is headed to the NFC to play in Arizona. Jonathan Allen on the Commanders. Our first D lineman, I think, in this video. Switching teams. He's going to Jacksonville. Can you believe he's getting swapped for another Allen? Josh is headed to Washington. This one could arguably decide who wins this entire season. Micah Parsons is headed to Cincinnati. Good luck to the rest of the AFC. Man, Hendrickson is going to play for Dallas. All right, let's see where Big Play Slay from the Eagles is going to be headed, man. This one is also a huge spin. He's going to Denver. In return, the Eagles get a nice free safety in Justin Simmons, but Slay and Surtain is arguably the best cornerback duo in the league now. Our 8th team that is going to be switching players is the Atlanta Falcons. Jesse Bates is headed to New York. And now the Falcons D-line adds an elite D-tackle on Quinnen Williams. The Niners are going to lose a stud, but they could also gain a stud depending on where they land. The Chargers now have both Bosa brothers on their roster, but San Fran might just be the scariest team in the NFC now with Derwin. Dexter Lawrence from the G-Men is headed to Buffalo, and the Giants get back one of the best pass rushers ever in Von Miller. The Detroit Lions are going to be losing GJ, but they're going to be gaining a nice player from the Texans. How about Jimmy Ward, man? Very solid safety. They actually go up in overall at that position. This one might sting if you're a Packers fan. You're going to lose Jair. He's headed to Baltimore, but at least you replace him with another elite cornerback, Marlon Humphrey. The Panthers are going to lose out on Brian Burns for this season, but now they have their best pass rusher since Julius Peppers. Myles Garrett is now in Carolina. 4 teams remaining. It's a great time to like the video if you haven't already. The best defensive player of the last decade, Aaron Donald, is headed to Miami. You can't spell Ramsey without Rams. That's where the cornerback is headed, switching places with his former teammate. The Saints' Marshawn Lattimore is getting in the jet, and his destination is Las Vegas. Max Crosby's gonna replace him in New Orleans. Only one more spin. This one is for Seattle Seahawks Jamal Adams. He's headed to Indy, and taking his place in Seattle is DeForest Buckner, which means the Vikings, our last team, is sending Harrison the Hitman to Kansas City, and the Chiefs are sending back Chris Jones to help out that Vikings D-line. Time to sim to the playoffs, man. Get your predictions in the comment section. Which 2 teams are gonna meet up in the Super Bowl? Broncos end up with the 1 seed. After Big Play Slay joins their squad, Jags, Bengals, Chargers, Browns, Chiefs, and Bills all end up in the postseason. Worst record goes to the Titans and the Texans. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, who lost Parsons and got Hendrickson, ended up with the 1 seed. The Panthers, Falcons, Eagles, Saints, Niners, and Packers all make it to the playoffs. Worst record in the NFC went to 3 different teams: Bears, Bucks, and the Cardinals. Joe Joe Burrow wins MVP. Makes sense, their offense stayed the same, so he was still cooking. OPOY went to Josh Jacobs. EPOY went to Bosa on the Chargers, but not the one you're thinking of, man. Nick takes it home. In the NFC, it went to Myles Garrett on the Panthers, and then Cooper Kupp wins OPOY. Gotta run through the defensive stats in this simulation, man. Divine Diablo had the most tackles, Grover Stewart, Aiden Hutchinson, Von Miller on the Giants, and Aaron Donald, along with Myles Garrett, all had 20 plus tackles for a loss on their new teams, man. You knew they were going to eat no matter where they were. 31 sacks for Garrett, destroying the record. Bosa broke the record too. Donald ended up third. Isaiah Simmons fourth, and then Chase Young rounding out the top five. Vaughn Parsons in the top 10 for sacks. TJ Watt on the Buccaneers was up there. Josh Allen, 8 interceptions for Dory Jackson on the Giants. Then Jonathan Jones, McDuffie, Milano, and Neal. There's Marlon Humphrey on his new team, Green Bay. Most deflections goes to Rayshawn Jenkins on the Jags. Yeah, Ulysses Gilbert third. Then Tremaine Edmunds tied for second. Lavonte on the Steelers. Both doing their thing on their new squads. Quick scroll through the offensive stats. Burrow had the most passing yards by far. Most touchdowns as well with 48. Wilson with 45, only 11 picks. A lot of quarterbacks were taking care of the football. Henry had the most rushing yards, 1,700. A lot of guys had over 1,000. 21 touchdowns for Chubb to lead the way. Saquon was right there with 20. And then Cooper Kupp, most receiving yards, not even close. Most receptions as well, and the most touchdowns. So another triple crown for that man. Can he get his team to the Super Bowl? Well, the answer is no, because they didn't make the playoffs. I low-key forgot. My apologies. But in the NFC, the Panthers are going to be representing after beating the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Saints on their way to the big game. Meanwhile, their opponent, Kansas City, after losing Chris Jones, still ends up making it to the big dance. They took care of the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, the Broncos, and the Jaguars. So their road here was not an easy one. Can Harrison the Hitman get his first Super Bowl as a member of the Chiefs? Or can Myles Garrett help the Panthers get their first Super Bowl in franchise history? If anyone was underrating Myles Garrett, hopefully they're not doing it anymore, okay? He's a 99 overall, so that probably was not happening. But for him to go to a brand new team and then take them to the Super Bowl is crazy. Tied up at halftime. Oh, actually, Panthers take the lead heading into halftime. It's a close game. Mahomes is never out of it, of course. So even though they're up 14, Carolina cannot get too comfortable, man. Here we go. Start of the fourth quarter. Mahomes out of the shotgun, gonna find McKinnon. Chiefs cannot afford anything less than a touchdown. Another dot by Mahomes. Sky Moore needs to do some more of that if they're gonna have any chance of winning. Right now, it's dink and dunk. A lot of clock is getting wasted right now. I'm surprised they're not in the no huddle, but they're getting chunks of yardage and they cough up the football. Guess who? Myles Garrett recovers it, and the Panthers end up the Super Bowl champions in this experiment. Thank you so much for watching to the end, man. Let me know the next idea you want to see, and have a good rest of your day.